Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? I believe it's time for a lore alert. I hope you're all ready. Wee woo! Wee woo! Hi, everybody. Welcome in. I'm not wearing headphones right now, but if we get echo, just let me know and I will redo it. I'm like super nervous because I'm streaming to YouTube for the first time, so I want it all to go well. I'm like not gonna play any music just in case and stuff like that. Yes. Thank you, darling. So we're just gonna use the Elden Ring background noises to soothe us as we go through this. Yes. Welcome, welcome, Thea. We love you. You're the best in the biz, honey. Just keep doing what you're doing. And let me get... Okay, now I have like both thingies up, so I can see both chats. So... Yeah, it's the big one. Welcome in, RV, over in YouTube. I don't have like merged chats yet, but I promise you I will. But I got this plugin for OBS set up, so I was like, all right, this is a very special video. We're doing a big lore reveal today. I'm gonna be oh, I don't even know what the title is. Yeah, right, I never set a title on YouTube. Give me 1 second. Thank you so much, Thea. Love you too, darling. Play Sea Shanty 2 on loop for 4 hours. It's what YouTube audiences crave. Dang. Why do you always have the correct take? Stop that. Oh, you know what? I'll just leave it Saint Trina lore live stream for now. I don't know how to reset it. I think you have to do it beforehand. I'm sure I'll be able to change it though in the VOD, so that's good. That'll be fine. Oh, whoops. I almost exited. That would have been a disaster. Alright, let's fucking do this. Let me show you my next scene. Gotta get me in there. And, welcome everybody to Lore Alert. Lore Alert, like, number 6 or something, I think. It's more like 8 if you count the shorts. But today we're going to be revealing all of my big secrets that I've been holding on to up to this point, because the DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, is right around the corner. No. Well, okay, it's really not about the DLC. It's about the base game. So the only thing that I would reveal is like some pictures and stuff. Which I can tell you to look away. I can warn you before I do that. Yeah. We need sea shanties. Hour loop. I am not that crazed right now. I do not have that frenzy in my eyes. I'm sorry. Though we are going to be talking about the Frenzied Flame a lot. Well, the Frenzied Flame indirectly. How do your theories hold up to Shalir's masterpiece? They really don't. Like, Shalir might put me out of business, so don't be bringing that up anymore. Music is slightly competing. Okay. Yep, you absolutely right, because I turned it high on purpose at the start. Yeah, we want it nice and chill. A little bit higher than that though. Like there. That's usually what I like for actually present music. Let me know if it's still a little bit too loud though, because Elden Ring likes to get loud randomly, actually. Yeah, we are. Don't worry, we are somewhat embracing it. Okay, yeah, it's still too loud. You're right. So it needs to be like here. Okay. That way the loud parts won't be too loud. Okay, so I'm standing here next to Haetta because we're going to be talking about it right away. And the thing about the lore in Elden Ring, right? Yeah, exactly. It's the loud ways trolling. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, you have your second slice of melon, but you have been told you can't have a third slice tonight. Can't be eating a whole melon in a day. We need that. Oh, hold on. I'm also gonna do my lipstick real quick. I'm giving you the BRB for one tiny second. Cause I had some food and it completely wiped off. Oh my god, my hair is going everywhere, y'all. Which is a good thing. I want it to be big for this wild takes. Come on, you bastard. Work with me. That shit did not want to spread, but we made it there eventually. You guys, I gotta be honest with you. I don't eat like any fruits and vegetables. I'm like a horrible person. Okay, finally, I'm done changing scenes. For a little bit, at least. But my point is, with Haetta, in Elden Ring lore, and really all the lore from software, I know, it's a problem. But in lore, in general, you have to decide who is telling you the truth, right? So a lot of characters may contradict each other in how they describe the world and the cosmology and how it all works. But eventually you kind of have to put a pin in which one you think is telling you the truth. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's really funny from Schiller. But my point is that for me, I decide that Haetta is telling the truth, and especially Haetta in the very end of her quest line, which we're going to get into. But with that out of the way, I think that's really one of the beautiful things about lore, is that based on who you decide in this game in particular, you're going to come up with different theories running with that. Kenneth Haetta and Shapriri are the only characters who have never spoken any falsehoods. Yeah, good point. Kenneth Haetta, absolute king. Put him in charge. I can't believe they put Nepheli in charge of Stormveil. I mean, he's got the right ideas, right? Am I right? So yeah, so this is not rehearsed. We're gonna be falling over our words, and that is totally fine. Because I literally don't have any more time for anything else. Also, welcome in Gene Decay, one of my earliest collaborators in the lore space. Big shout out to them. Gene, love you, darling. Welcome in. Unhinged lore, you put 10 hours of Sea Shanty 2 on in the background. Okay, you're good. You're ready. You're ready to go. So yeah, so let me just get right into it. Let me set up my actual display capture. That's gonna go here. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little tricksiness. Oops. Please. We're gonna just magnify this a bit. I know, it's so nice. Happy Gay Month, everybody. Happy Pride. Let's go gays. I love that I get to do this on June 1st. I didn't really plan it that way, but it just worked out that way. So. That's hilarious. I mean, yeah, you're listening to Brain Rot Beauty. Love being gay. We all love it, don't we, folks? Don't we, folks? Let's go gamers. Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. So, I'm gonna start ignoring chat starting after we read the title. What do you mean? I said what I said. Let's go. Yeah, as you guys can see, the title is just as crazy as the as I have implied. Oh, my camera isn't showing. Good thing I didn't go too fast. I do need to, like, slow myself down a little bit. You have a theory that starts with linking on Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account so you can get a free sub every month using your favorite streamer, like Trina here. Draconia, you're such a darling. Thank you so much for being here. What's fucked up is that the title from the understanding of the lore is, yeah, that sums it up pretty clearly. Yes! I was hoping that you would feel that way, Shalir. We have super similar ideas about the lore. So excited to see where your theories are at now. Yeah, this is like stuff... Well, technically this is stuff that I've been sitting on for a long, long time. So, kind of old stuff that it's like, well, the DLC is almost here. It doesn't really count as a guess if they just tell you the answer, right? So I was like, all right, we gotta get this done, but I only have time to do the one take. Good to see homie saying hi. So, all right, we're going into YouTube mode here. Video commence. Welcome everybody to Lore Alert number whatever we're on. And welcome to the Omniscient time-traveling Miquella theory, aka Everyone is Marika theory, aka Reedsearch Part 3. Reedsearch was a series that I basically started my channel on, Reedsearch Part 1, and it was like me kind of doing a final tumble down the rabbit hole, so to speak, of Elden Ring when they started to reveal the DLC to us. We're not going to show the DLC image yet, and I'm going to remember that Shalir needs me to warn them when anything DLC is coming up. So you as well at home, you can avert your eyes when I go over that part. But everything else still pretty much works with the base game. I'm really just referencing that to tie it all together. Thank you so much, Coffee Bean. Thanks for being here. So let's start off with an assumption that I'm going to be building off of a lot in this little diatribe, whatever, crazed rant, whatever you want to call it. The very first civilization was the ancient dynasty that is worshipped now by Moog. So I get that there's not really much to prove that they're the very first. We know that they're an ancient society, right? That's referenced many, many times. But I want to prove today that many characters, including Marika, were probably a part of this dynasty, and maybe were even there at the very dawn of people existing. I don't want to say humans, because humans isn't really an appropriate term when it comes to Elden Ring people. But let's just say identities, when identities came into being. So, starting with the crazies, then the evidence, and then tying it all together with more crazies. We start off with Haetta. I said this at the very start to our... Thank you, Wisp. We're doing it all live, so we gotta stay hydrated, y'all. No extra cuts in this. We start off with Haetta. I think Haetta is very important because she is a blind maiden who dies innocent, basically. In the world of Dark Souls, and especially Elden Ring, the two most important characters are maidens and people who are blind. And she's got both. So we know she's a prophet, and she's just very important in general, right? So I decide to base a lot of my interpretations of the lore, like where I clearly take liberties, off of what she says, especially at the end of her quest line. But here's just the setup stuff, so we can understand before we go into the actual quotes. First quote I want to start off with is this weird line from your first time you give her a grape. So she says, "But with everyone's eyes together, it appears. And I think that everyone's eyes being together is referring to the one great that we will see in just a second. And is referring to the fact that all identity was one identity at one point. And that is what she is seeing. She's seeing this flaming... She's seeing the Crucible, to be blunt about it. She's seeing the Crucible, and the Crucible is something that we have seen very recently. So, if you have the Elden Ring Book of Knowledge, Volume 1, that will have literally every quest line's dialogue, and I'm sure it'll be slightly out of date at some point. The Super Bowl, indeed. It will be probably out of date at some point. They probably update wordings every now and then, but this is an incredible resource for me that I used to read when I was going to bed. So I have like a lot of things underlined and stuff. It has everything you need to do lore hunting without having to open up the game and run around and stuff. So we'll turn to page 487. 41. Allow me one moment. And you see Haetta's page here. Let's see, Event 6 Dialogue. Talk to her after inheriting the Frenzied Flame. We'll skip ahead to right after we touch her and she becomes... Let me see if I can do this. I don't know if I'm showing this right, but I'm trying to show the picture of her being... her eyes being opened, so to speak. We kind of like burn her third eye. And then she has even more prophetic visions than normal, like the most prophetic visions. So when she's in this mode, I would call that an ecstatic state. And because she's in an ecstatic state, I'm even more inclined to believe what she's saying is coming from the deities directly. Maybe even more so than when the two fingers speak. Although I would say that's pretty darn similar. So, she says, thank you, thank you. I have touched them, the words of the three fingers. As your maiden, allow me to divine them. All that there is came from the one great. Then came fractures and births and souls. So anything that has to do with a new identity coming in has to be after this one great existed. Right. Yes, there is lots of history of oracles having their third eyes opened and thus being able to see the words of God, and it is said that making yourself blind and also being chaste and being pious makes it easier to cross that gap and open one's third eye. And this is obviously very, like, the texture of it is different in every religion that you're speaking about, but they all kind of speak to the same thing. It's about communing with whatever is past the firmament in your mind, whatever the heavenly spheres are to you. But the greater will made a mistake. Torment, despair, affliction. Now, notice that immediately she's speaking about the greater will, who is directly related to Marika. Every sin, every curse, every one born of the mistake. And so, what was borrowed must be returned. Melt it all away with the yellow chaos flame until all is one again. Okay. Well, this is very interesting. And I'm going to be basing all of the crazy parts, so to speak, on that interpretation. That literally in the start of Elden Ring, in the start of existence, they were all one being. And then the greater will did something. And that was the first sin, so to speak. Oh, I did not do any books. I wish. This is just this is from the like, this is official, so to speak. So that first sin is what I think we are seeing in the second DLC trailer. Oh, okay. I don't know who that is, so I don't have enough context, but that's very interesting. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead. This is the part where Shalir needs to avert their eyes. Link a cell. I don't know what that means, but you can type if you want to explain more. So I'm going to jump ahead to the actual DLC image so we remember what we're talking about. And don't look Shalir. So that's what I believe is being depicted in this scene. I believe this is the original sin committed by Marika. With the greater will kind of... I guess this is like their first identity being created. So if you imagine that in this little primordial soup area where it's all just like flesh and stuff, I actually imagine that that is the inside of maybe like a great snake, that where everything was. Everything was just melted and corpses everywhere, and they didn't really have definition. And then you have Marika coming through, plucking birth from the gods, so to speak. This is like kind of, we called it a goddessy, we've called it an eyegina. We're not really sure what it is. It might just be an eyeball. Could just be an eyeball. Could be both. Could be a C-section, or it could be a literal eyegina. We're not really sure, but the important part here is that these are like the threads of fate. Oh, okay, yeah. I got you. So then Marika is taking fate into her own hands for the first time here. And maybe she was the first being to have identity. We know she's Newman, and we know the Newman were around at very early times in the lore. It's not clear, like, when exactly each kingdom came and went. But we know the Newman were around, so what if she's literally the first Newman? That's our second crazy part that we need to defend. And then what else do I want to say? Okay, so that's good. So now we've established, like, what leaps I'm going with based off of that. And we're going to talk about a couple more leaps, too. So, this is still DLC. Don't look yet. In this picture, we see Miquella, who is probably also Saint Trina. And he is at a tree that I believe is the opposite tree, so to speak, of the Erd tree. And they're maybe arranged like this, maybe they're arranged like this, but I think they're like connected through the roots where Godwin is, and then even further down you have a secondary tree shooting out. So that would make this area like the counterpart of the lands between for death and sleep. We've talked about that on the channel a couple times. But what we're going to be expanding on is, I think that whenever you hear factions in the lands between speak of a different land that has to do with death, sleep, and spirits, they're all talking about the same place. And that includes Moog and his obsession with the dynasty. And more importantly, the land of reeds. We're going to be starting with the land of reeds today and trying to prove that these reeds here are actually representative of the land of reeds And I believe that even though it is called an eastern land, you can sail across the sea to the right, so to speak, but eventually arrive at the underside of the world. Kind of like our literal globe works, but we're going to be talking about that much later on, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself. For right now, all I want you to think about is, can Trina prove that these little guys are Land of Reeds, and do we think it's also connected to the other places that are associated with death, which are the Badlands, and I think also the Helfin, but we're not talking about the Helfin just because I don't really have time. I think the Helfin is probably a place in this area, which are the Badlands, which is where the Crucible was, which is where the original sin happens, and yeah, pretty much that's what we're going to be expanding to. Let's move on. So we're going to start, and I'm going to say it in chat, DLC time over. Smile. So, we're going to be talking about a bunch of swords. When you think of the Land of Reeds, it's easy to say, oh, clearly that's Japan, right? They're talking about a distant eastern land, and they're all wearing samurai armor and all that stuff, so why wouldn't it be Japan? And I agree with you. However, I do think that this is also a clever play on words in several different ways. You guys must play Haetta for a couple of sections. Yes. Okay, cool. So, what I found really strange is that if they are only referring to Japan, then why do all of these different factions that A, have to do with blood, and B, don't have to do with blood sometimes, why do they also have samurai swords? What is that trying to tell us? And I believe that they are all referring to, or they all get their sword style from the same place. That hopefully we will see a bunch of sword users in the DLC. So let's just slow down for a second and let's read these, because I don't really remember which parts I wanted to include about their descriptions. The first one is just Melania's sword. We know she learned her stuff from a blue fairy, and the blue fairy is associated with the Ainsel River, and yeah, just the two rivers that are underneath the lands between, and thus much closer to this hypothetical southern zone. Right, they're making swords out of meteors like Japan did. I love that people did that. It's pretty cool. Better iron. Interesting. Okay, makes sense. So, we have rivers of blood. First of all, this is Okina's sword. So Okina is like our candidate for who would be just a Japanese guy. He's just a Japanese guy, right? But he's a swordsman from the Land of Reeds, and this is a cursed weapon that has felled countless men. When Moog, immediately the second part of it says, is talking about Moog. Moog, the Lord of Blood, first felt Okina's sword, and madness upon his flesh, he had a proposal to offer Okina the life of a demon, whose thirst would never go unsated. So, at some point, Moog met this faction. Wherever the Land of Reeds is almost less important than the fact that Moog met them at some point, and that wound that he was given by the sword is likely the wound that led him to the Mother of Truth, who I think is the Crucible itself. I think that the Mother of Truth speaks through blood, and because we all came from the Mother of Truth, that is why you can use blood to commune with her. because she's literally in there. She's in our DNA, so to speak. And if that's true, maybe we all came from Marika. Marika was that first being to step out of the primordial soup and onto land. And thus, we all have a little bit of Marika in us, and that's kind of like what's going to tie everything together at the end. Let's take a short break here, just read. Wait, didn't Melania learn her swordsmanship from the blind swordsman who learned it? Oh, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. Yes, thank you for correcting me. Melania did learn her swordsmanship from the blind swordsman who learned it from the blue fairy. So, it's an even longer line, but the point still remains. No, you're not. No, it's not being an ass at all. So, yeah, and it's got the cursed blood that Moog has, of course. So, we also know that the town of Celia is basically the remnants of the Nox, who lived in that place that the Blue Fairy is associated with, that we just talked about. And they, too, also have katanas. It seems like a lot of the things that are deep underground are also associated with katanas, which are said to come from the land of reeds, which is associated with blood, and is a distant ancient land to the east. Okay? Light enwreathes the blade. Oh, yeah, sorry. Basically, I just wanted to point out that the Moon Veil is a masterpiece of a Celian swordsmith, specifically. So they have similar weapons. And then things are going to get a lot more explicit once we start coming to Eleonora's pole blade. Eleonora's pole blade. First of all, she literally has a lotus, which is the same flower that Melania has. And I'm going to read just for 1 second. Yes, I agree. I hope we get more lore on the blind swordsman. Yay! Thanks for being here. Welcome, Mike. It doesn't change anything. You just want to learn more about him. Yeah, I totally agree. You think the relationship between katanas and blood runs deeper than it's edgy and cool? Right. Iron is vital to its nation's place. This nation/place thing because blood is the most important thing. I wonder if they're literally bleeding their lady dry, effectively giving the blood god an iron deficiency. Damn, that's interesting. That's deep level shit. I love that. So, Eleonora's pole blade. Twinned Naginata forged in the land of reeds. Chosen weapon of Eleonora, Violet Bloody Finger. Her mastery of the sword was such that her onslaught was likened to a whirlwind, but now her legacy is stained by accursed blood. So she even has a move that it's not waterfowl, but it's very reminiscent of it in its big, long slashing moves. So now let's talk about why I'm so convinced that the land of reeds is this place. And why, and also this part is going to start explaining why I say omniscient time-traveling Miquella specifically. So, one thing I want to lay out quickly is that I believe if Marika is that first being, then Miquella is a hypothetical omega to her alpha, and he could be like the final being who comes and resets the world. And thus, dang, 20 in a row? That's crazy. Miquella may be going to basically right the wrongs that their mother began. So let's take a look at some conspiracy theory type stuff. When I was looking at the land of reeds, I was looking for confirmation that my theory was true, which is, you know, you're not really supposed to do that, but fuck it, we're having fun today. So I went and looked at the white set. That's slightly more ornamented. It's got better stats. This is kind of like the more important one of the two. This design here, this one I thought was very interesting because it kind of looks like braids, but it also looks like reeds. And reeds we are using interchangeably with wheat here. We had an insanely long discussion about this. Okay, this is Okina's. Okay, even better. Even better. So, it's very interesting that it's in an Ouroboros braid-like O shape, because that's just very important imagery to the world of Elden Ring in general. But it's more important, it's extra super intensely important for Miquella. And I believe that also answers why Okina's armor is white. And I don't know if it's Miquella or an earlier version of Miquella, or literally Miquella is just using the same imagery as this place, and maybe the imagery actually comes from the Land of Reeds. I don't know what that is, but if we're talking about the most insane version, I would say it's because in the DLC, Miquella is time traveling and trying to right the wrongs of the original sin. And by going down to this death place, you're able to do that. And that could explain how he got this armor. Because Saint Trina / Miquella have been fucking with the timeline. A lot. So, I thought it was very interesting that this is cut Miquella's bracelet type dealio. I don't know if it's supposed to be around his neck or his wrist or what, but this is a cut item that looks very similar to that design, and I just wanted to point it out before we talk about Reeds and Miquella directly. Followers of Okina. Yep, we're going to talk about the Spirit Caller Cave as well. We have a big section on Spirit Caller Cave coming up. Cool. Miquella is speaking through Saint Trina, through dreams, through time to change the course of fate. Yes, Shalir. I'm so glad you're here because we've both known that me and Shalir have like very, very similar ideas about what's happening in the crazier parts of the game. And so she said it perfectly. Miquella is speaking through Saint Trina, through dreams, through time to change the course of fate. And that is basically what I'll be arguing. And then, of course, over here you see Miquella's soldiers. They also have a very similar Ouroboros knot thing going on here, which Preaker, if you're out there, she just posted on our Discord about a very similar item, and I gotta remember to post about this because one of the new characters has a belt buckle that looks just like this, and of course, her color scheme is white and gold, as per usual, with people related to Miquella. I think she's going to be intensely related to Miquella. Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's so cool. It's very fun. Okay, so let's look at some more Land of Reeds armor, because I'm sure there's people who aren't quite convinced yet. That the ring is also double helix. Yes. So that's just like, there's like, we know that the Elden Ring is about expansion and regression. And everything comes back to one eventually, is what is said in the in those freaking incantations whose names I can't remember. So I believe this is like time loops being mended, and this represents Miquella like doing a bunch of crazy shit over the millennia, so to speak. Let's look at the Reed's armor directly. Let's read them. Let's absorb everything they have for us. White Reed armor. Armor of the White Reeds, fashioned. White Reeds, very important that they even emphasize the white here. Fashioned from a banded iron plates worn by the Inaba, head disciples of the great swordsman Okina. The Inaba travel in pursuit of not only the master who abandoned them, but also proper deaths. Won honorably through hard-fought combat. And hard-fought combat I want to underline here. Oops. because this place is all about blood and death. Ugh, that's too shitty. We can't accept that, y'all. We gotta do better. Do better through hard-fought combat. And I'm underlining this because that is very similar to another culture who has a cut armor set that we're going to talk about in 1 second. The White Reed is to seek death, fitting for the Inaba, who desire nothing more than to die by the sword. So they're like a warrior race. And interestingly, they have another really famous knot here that we're going to talk about soon. And I just wanted to point it out so you guys can get familiar with it. So then over here, we got the regular Land of Reed's armor. And note this little section right here. It looks like a lion's mane of reeds, so to speak. Don't think Millennia's flower is a lotus. Lotus petals are completely different from Scarlet Aeonia, but more importantly, the name gives it away. And Aeonius is a special... Oh, okay, cool. This is a species of succulent. They usually grow in dry, hot places, IRL to Caled, with lotus flower grown in water. Or a couple of succulents that look like Scarlet Aeonia. Okay, wow. Dang, I have never heard that one, Skinny. That's cool as hell. Thank you, Skinny Legend. You're a legend. Shout out to Skinny Legend. I never get to freaking come to your streams anymore because I'm like just at completely different times than you, but I love you. Secondary question. If that's true, do you think that these flowers do not look the same? This one and Millennia's? Because I'm fine with conceding that point. Do you think this one looks like a lotus and the other one looks like an Aeonia? Anyway, I'll let them answer that and read this description. Okay. Different flowers, fine. We lose a point. That's fine. We're still rocking and rolling. Land of Reeds. Oh, goodbye, lipstick. I'll redo it in a second. Armor made from strips of iron fastened together. Yeah. Ellie's blade is a lotus. Got it. Of course. I'd be a fool. Worn by warriors of the Land of Reeds. The grimy outer mantle is made from withered reeds from the warrior's birthplace. Perhaps it extend to nostalgic thoughts of home. So I find it really interesting that this is kind of like a mane almost. You could argue that it looks a little bit different, but I wanted to point out how similar this design is to the Cut Braves set. And I have argued in the past that I believe this Braves set comes from the culture that Godfrey comes from. Because it has very similar designs here, and I apologize. Oh, I can actually get it. So, if you look here, this helmet is exactly the same to wait. Okay, let's not worry about that part. Oh, right. That's what I wanted to say. Godfrey has braids placed directly in this spot. Right where the little knot is here, and I made connections between the two based on that. And the fact that he comes from the Badlands, it's an old culture, and we see another thing here that's similar. And they're all about knots, and they all have these little mane-looking mantles on them. Fowl that floats. Yeah, we can go into the flower thing at the end. I don't want to get too sucked into it, but so braids, incredibly important, and then a similar motif with the back piece, and very similar color scheming, red, and it's very vibrant red and blue for both of them. And then of course the Miquella version over here, which is like the specialized one. So we're also going to be talking about Godfrey eventually. And I'll just like there's gonna be like a bonus theory that I'll throw in at the end. Right. They are very reminiscent of Celtic braids. And Celtic braids are symbols that often represent, well, I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't have like the actual sources to cite myself here, but my understanding of it is that those knots represent your connection with everything around you, so to speak. So it's very apt that when we're talking about the beginning of time, and we're talking about the end of time, that these types of symbols would be extra prevalent, and we see them all over this game. Like Dark Souls, they have like a few things that are like that, but there's way more in this one. Right. So in my interpretation of Horaloo, I believe that he's kind of like an amalgamation of the Allfather characters who were eventually merged into the Christian mono deity. So I think he's kind of based on that, and that comes from a lot of different cultures, including the Celts and including Yahweh, of course. I'm sure many of you know, who is a storm god. Ta-da! So I think he's like a remix character. I think a lot of them are like god remixes of like a few different gods. And then we have this version. I just wanted to show you guys this initial version is like, you've got like it's almost like a lady. It's like a tree lady with wild hair. It might also just be like one strand of reed instead of what they ended up going for, but I just wanted to show it off because it's pretty cool. And then we have the knot, which I think is coming up next. Little extra section. Yep. So here's like, this is kind of like a bonus section. But I thought it was really interesting, and it ties into what Shalir was just mentioning. That these symbols are incredibly important to our relationship to the cosmos. And these people come from the land of reeds, they come from the land of death, they come from the land of blood, and that means they're likely to know about these connections that existed at the dawn. At least in my interpretation. So here is the entwined umbilical cord, which is in a trefoil formation, and I did an entire video about this one, so if you haven't seen that, I highly suggest you check that one out, because we talk a lot about these knots and things that I was just mentioning, but most importantly we have this one, which I believe hints at Marika having, thank you Pewdie, which hints at Marika having multiple identities and making her a trans character canonically. It's also representative of the Christian Trinity and divinity in many forms. There's also the Baromian rings, which are a very similar symbol, and those are also used all over this game. And then maybe in that canon is the double coin knot, which can be seen on the back of Okina's thing. First of all, it's very appropriate for him to have a braided rope knot, very similar to the Brave set, who are very obsessed with braided knots. Braids and knots as well. So after Llama Flash, one of the OG homies of the channel, showed me what this was, I looked it up, and I think this is in Japanese culture specifically. The knot symbolizes wealth and prosperity, particularly for merchants who often deal in coins. However, that's not the only meaning. This knot has also come to symbolize long life. Use it in jewelry when you want to wish to wear long, and obviously this is just like Google's description, pre-AI. I'll have you know. So they actually scraped it from a website instead of just letting the AI scrape it for them. I just thought it was very similar to the things that Marika and Miquella represent in our story and in our world. Right. What are the braids of Fire Giant, by the way? So, the Fire Giant's hair, I didn't talk about that in this one, but I do believe that has hints for everything we're talking about. Well, I lose my mind, an unbelievable amount of hype of the theory that Celtic influence and Dagda is shaping up more and more. Okay, cool. Specifically dealing in coins, could that be related to the relationship between coins and Charon? I don't know about that one. You're hitting me with so many names that I don't know, because I eventually moved away from doing religious analysis directly. Let's see. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Charon Boatman of the River Styx. Oh my god. Okay. Naturally. Oh, interesting. Oh, that's really interesting, Shalir. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so we're gonna. I think I have a section about the Tibia Mariners, but I don't have a ton to say about them. Other than they're definitely very important here, extremely. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you have to pay the toll for the soul to move on. So yeah, so they're like someone. They're people who are more in tune with death than the actual inhabitants of the lands between. That's for sure. Hades character, right? Oh my god, you're right. Okay, sick. Let me see what Skinny says. Doing good. Okay. Oh, you were just saying. Okay, nice. That's very nice. I love seeing the homies get together. Okay. So it's just a really interesting symbol for them to use. I think it's really like on the nose, and it's pretty astonishing like how much different cultures they can have talk about the same topic and all be really on the nose and still have like similarities between them, because that's just spirituality and human history in general. So, more proof. Let's prove without a shadow of a doubt that the Lord of Blood and Okina and the Land of Reeds and this blood stuff is all related. I give you the weird cross thingy on what's this Vare's face. So he has this weird patch thingy. This is proof without a shadow of the Erdtree. It's true, we don't have it yet. So he's related to the Lord of Blood, obviously. He is, you know, we don't need to prove that. He's top boy. But did you also know that Eleonora and pretty much all the blood people also have this same symbol? Moon here. Yay! Yay, moon. It's cursed. Yeah, it is kind of cursed. But more importantly than all of those, guess who that is? That's Okina. And he is wearing the same symbol as everybody who is obsessed with the dynasty, who I believe was the very first. And these are just like really good renders. This is all from Zlopsky. Zlopsky basically like handed me this on a platter. I don't remember if she heard me talking about it and then made this, because like half of the times it's been me mentioning things and then her making a response picture, and then the other half she just comes up with shit on her own. So they're really smart. And I said she, but I don't actually know their pronouns, so I should really go with they. Wait, really? Oh my god, that's funny. I would not be surprised. I'm sure they did not do it that closely. Vara, you can kind of see. This is pretty funny. And of course they wear white, which is slightly interesting, but I don't want to talk about Vara too much, other than just to prove that Okina and this faction are deeply, deeply related. Okina's actually a finger maiden for blood. Ooh, good point. Good point. Zlowski's work is just the very best there is on the internet. Yeah, honestly, Skinny, they're so nice. So, if you want some more proof, we didn't get enough proof. We didn't get enough proof. Now check this one. Right on Okina's friggin' knee pad, he has the same pattern that is on Eleonora's. This is Eleonora's, right? I'm pretty sure. Her shoulder pad. Yeah, I think it's like, you know, I'm with you on that, like half joking. Half joking. And then of course we have their move. They stab themselves, which is very similar to Moog stabbing the Mother of Truth with his little spectral thing. And also, look at that back. Yo! She grizzly out here. Which, I don't know what to make of that, but I think it's hinting at the beast stuff. That is, like, tangential to what we're talking about, but mostly just a bonus at the end. Let's see, what else? Here's all their hats. I don't know if we need anything from this, but I'll just read them really quick. Strong women are hot. Simple as. Yeah, exactly. Just gives her that, like, macho, grizzly, I'm gonna destroy the world look that we all know and love. Okay, so let's just learn about the Land of Reeds and absorb real quick. The Land of Reeds has long been locked in a miserable civil war, during which time it has remained alienated from the cultures of its neighbors. That sounds a lot like a land that Marika dominated and then locked away at the bottom of the Erd Tree, at the roots, which is what I think is shooting out of the ground in the very, very first image of the DLC. Little wonder that the entire nation has succumbed to blood-soaked madness, or so it is said. It also just seems, and oh my god, I just realized in the narrator's voice from the first DLC trailer, they even say that it was a civil war, right? I could be misspeaking, but I'm pretty sure they said that. So yeah, so I do think that's where we're going. That's where we're going. That's where we're going. That's where we're going. Old man baring his teeth. Source of the sobriquet. Sobriquet? What does that fucking word mean? Of the great swordsman of the Land of Reeds. The more he sharpened his mind, the more the absurdities of the world came into stark relief. So Okina renounced it all and rose to a higher plane. There was only himself, his katana, and its mastery. Before long, Okina became a demon of a swordsman. And that's a very similar story to the Shura ending in Sekiro, which is a great thing that Quailag pointed out to me super early on in us learning about this game. But also, I thought it was very interesting that that description and the Shura ending in general, and the demon ape that you fight during that ending, also sound a lot like this, but they also sound a lot like the Frenzied Flame. Frenzied Flame is all about anger turning you into a frenzied demon. A descriptive name or epithet, a nickname. Oh, right. I knew that at some point. It left my brain. And in keeping with this ancient stuff that we have going on, the Drake Knight Helm also is related to the dragons themselves, which are very likely some of the first beings that existed. And maybe, as in Dark Souls, they don't quite count as having an identity yet. I don't know if they, what I'm trying to say here is that they could come before Marika without counting as having a soul. We just don't really know. Yeah, it's an interesting word for sure. Hades. Features the spoils of a dragon catch as an emblem of pride as both dragon hunter and partaker of communion. From birth, Drake Knights speak not a word. They spend their lives pursuing the strength of dragons. Again, we see motifs of seeking strength. The main thing that Godfrey is all about, you guys. It's all about it. For its sublime beauty and inspiration of awe. Oh, Okina's Hawaiian for cutting off such separation, says Shalir. That's super interesting. Dang, okay, cool. That would make sense for this place being a secluded root zone as well. Oh yeah, the man once known as Yura kept a woman in the deepest reaches of his heart. I don't think we need to look at this too much. Except, oh, yes we do, because, again, the person who's tangentially related to Eleonora is Shabriri. So again, we have the seeking of strength leading one to frenzy, and then eventually, you know, Shabriri comes to take his troll toll. And then finally, let's just tie it all together with the map of Mogan Palace. In the lightest depths lies the grave of an ancient civilization. It is here Moog, the Lord of Blood, is building his palace to be the seat of his coming dynasty named Mogwin, and whatever nightmares that may bring. Specifically, nightmares. So it's all about control over Miquella / Saint Trina, who are the likeliest, one of the likeliest candidates for Empyrean. And the Empyreans are going to be very important in general as we continue on talking about Marika and the Gloam-Eyed Queen. Also, hello, my darling. Hyacinth just came into chat. Everybody should follow her. She's absolutely wonderful. And she is my artist for our game Hysteria, the 3D witchy RPG of your dreams. It's going to be so fun, and it's been really picking up pace in our development, and yeah, I love her. God, Queen of Blood and Night. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Shalir's got it. Trina, the God Queen of Blood and Night. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Oh yeah, so let's round out what we know about the Formless Mother. And of course, these are incantations from Moog. Thrust arm into the body of the Formless Mother. Then scatter the blood flame to set the area ablaze. This incantation can be cast while in motion. The most important part here is that these are blood incantations, and they have little specks of gold in them. And they also have a lot of life teeming in them, life power. So that also adds to our interpretation of that scene that we saw in the second DLC trailer right at the start with Marika in whatever that place is. The Mother of Truth craves wounds. When Moog stood before her deep underground. Now remember, I believe that this place is even further than that. So he went to the center, and then even beyond the center is where you get to like the other side of the world. His blood erupted with fire. Again, we have the frenzied flame being like, huh, this is like kind of related. It's not like as explicit as you'd hope, but it's very similar. And he was bestowed with the defilement that he was born into. And then we have the swarm of flies, of course. Shared from the Lord of Blood's power. Releases a swarm of blood flies before the caster to assault foes. The vile swarm deals damage and builds up onset of blood loss. This incantation can be cast while in motion. The new place of the Lord of Blood lies in a swamp of festering blood, and these flies are said to spawn from the excrement in that land. So, I think that there's a good chance that I'm literally riffing this one off my head right now. So bear with me. I think there's a chance that we're going to see a very similar motif to Bloodborne. Bloodborne is obsessed with mothers and the moon and blood. And if Marika did something super unholy and stole the threads of fate from this ancient mono being, maybe we will see its corpse in the DLC in some crazy swamp. And it will be fucking crazy, and there will be some fucked up fetus child. Excrement blood swamp. Let's go! Hi, Kicks. Welcome in. So I was thinking maybe something like that will actually happen. And I'm literally riffing that right now, but we're having fun. Yeah, exactly. Shouts out to Kicks too. Darling, welcome in. Okay, so let's take a short break. I'm gonna chug some water, and then I'll be right back. Oh wait, oh yeah, our PS5 died, y'all. Let's get the music going again. Sag. I was talking so much. Oh, darling, darling. How's your day going, by the way, Hyacinth? Hope you're having a wonderful morning. PS5 said, "Bish, I'm EP. It's EP time." Yeah, I don't blame her. I could change the settings. I really should, actually. It's not. It's this one. Yay! Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna refresh my makeup. I'm gonna drink a bunch of water. Everybody get a snack. I'll even run an ad. It's a full-on break. And then we'll probably have 2 breaks because this is that long. That's why we had to do it this way. Because there's no way I had time to write an entire script for this thing. Okay, be right back. Oh. Alright, redo that part. So we just got done talking about the Lord of Blood and all that. And if you feel lost, do not worry, because I'll be tying it all together at the end again. And I'll be repeating myself a lot. Well, Hyacinth says they woke up late because she was dreaming about how a giant was going to kill you no matter where you were on Earth. Now having your morning coffee. No! That's awful. No matter where you were, you had an Attack on Titan dream. That's horrible, honey. I'm sorry. Well, I'm very glad you're here. Okay, so we just got done. Yeah. The giant even texted you? Oh my god. This giant's an asshole. And after the Lord of Blood, we need to talk about Miquella directly, because I proved, I hope, that the land of reeds is associated with blood, which is associated with the ancient dynasty, which is very low, even lower than the Newman are, or the Nox, rather, and perhaps is the land of shadow that is attached to the roots of the Yggdrasil or Urge tree. Basically the opposite end of the Urge tree that we can't see. But I have not proven that Miquella is obsessed with reeds in particular, because his imagery is usually just the braid itself and like sewing and stuff like that. So we need to just lay that out and prove that out. You'll continue believing the Miquella goal is to use Moog to become the blood god. Okay, yeah, fair. That's a good one to run on. I really wish I wasn't going to be killed by this giant. There are still things I want to do. Dang, babe. You gotta bring that one to the psych. Poopa wants to enter the chrysalis phase. Yes. Okay, interesting. Feeding himself blood on purpose. Getting an extra huge dose of blood, because there's a lot of it there. There certainly is a lot of it. And I don't think that's the blood swamp being referenced in Swarm of Flies, by the way. Because it's not like it comes from right over there when you're in the Moog's area. So, in Miquella's zone, we have a lot of clues. And mainly, the clues are the fact that we have these reeds being placed in holy areas. This is right outside of Miquella's prayer room, and you can see it's got quite a bit of adornment going on. These are pretty important, like, offerings maybe to the gods, that sort of thing. And there's even more here. And I have it being fed by blood, but that's just my... I just killed that guy right here. I thought it was neat. And then we have him growing. I don't know if this is a flower or if it's a reed or not, but this, to me, it looks like a very similar symbol. Sent Melania to engage in the bloodiest battle in written history right above where he'd get kidnapped and just happen to be absorbing all the blood. Just a bunch of crazy coincidences all around. Yeah, honestly, that's not that unreasonable. Because we're going to be talking about the crystal buds soon enough. So that might be what this is. This might be a crystal bud, which regardless, it is a very similar symbol growing a small grass-like plant. And again, in Miquella's needles, they may be just needles, however, they bear striking resemblances to reeds themselves. They just kind of look like a little thing of wheat. Like, look at that. If you look really close, looks like a wheat pattern right here. the whole thing gives the impression of wheat in general. But way more importantly is all of these braided knots. Which, if you have ever heard, I don't know if Emily ever put this to paper, but I was talking to Emily a long time ago, Emily is the pants, about braids and how they seem to represent identities. So I think it's incredibly apt that Miquella has so many braids in their designs, because I believe that they are, like I said, the omega to Marika's alpha. Marika may have started as one being, but over time she is rebirthed and split apart and fractured into all of these different beings, so that even though Miquella is their own person as well, I think they have a little piece of Marika and a little piece of a lot of different identities within themselves. Which is why this symbolism works so well. And again, it's very similar to the emphasis of knots and braiding on both the Brave set and the Land of Reeds stuff that we talked about earlier. Reeds were just used as syringes and needles in ancient times? Wait, for real? Okay, that's fucking crazy. Okay, that's nuts. I'll say that again. Shalir just said reeds were used as syringes and needles in ancient times. That's stunning. Okay. Similarly, the factions, there are some random symbols that I think are Miquella related, hidden throughout the game already. So if we're talking about omniscient time-traveling Miquella in particular, there are a lot of different factions that have these symbols that are supposedly related to Miquella, but they show up in the timeline way earlier than they should, quote unquote. And also note that this has a design that combines silver and gold. That's very important to the overall lore. Both of these do, actually. In accordance with an ancient pact with the Erd Tree, it is said that their death led not to destruction, but instead to renewal, eternal life as guardians. So I don't know what to make of that one, but I thought it was really interesting that how similar it is to all of the topics we've talked about. And they kind of have this rot here, I would say even. And they have flowers coming out of trees on their backs. It seems like kind of Melania related to me. Very interesting. And then we also have this random one called the Commoner's Headband, which has a headband that we'll see in a second. Oh my god. I'm sorry, y'all. We're not seeing the board. Let me go back a tiny bit. God damn it. It's so many windows to manage. Sorry. Okay, so here first we have the reeds that are adorned just outside the prayer room for Miquella, showing their connection with reeds directly, and some more reeds nearby, just in the zone in general. And then also we have Miquella's little prayer, his little boy prayer, where he seems to be growing something very similar. Now this could be the crystal buds.
Please remain seated. We discovered this.
Our Vincentium. Thank you. Thank you so much for following. We have a candle, which that we don't have time to get into the candle, but we have a very small plant that is like a tall grass, perhaps. And then these are the needles that I was referencing to, and this one is the final form. This is Miquella's Omega to Marika's Alpha. Marika has like a single braid, but as time has gone on, she's split and fractured into all these different beings, and Miquella is now entangled with many, many different identities. Your acid reflux being so bad? Oh. Well, that's okay. I'm glad you're back. And this will all be on YouTube as a VOD. We got that too. Alright, let me get my chats back perfectly. Okay, everything is actually flowing now. So I also wanted to point out that it's very similar to an actual just like blade of wheat or a reed itself. And they're all Miquella's needles. So then finally we have the Guardian Mask, which has these knots that are very similar to the Miquella knots, but appears in the timeline far, far earlier than you would expect. And then, of course, basically the same design with the Miquellan Knight Sword. But then a little curious one, which I don't know if it means all that much, but you got the Commoner's Headband, which is all silver. Standard wear for commoners in the lands between. Only there are no commoners remaining with their wits about them. Interesting. Right, and Shalir reminded me that these knots are also wielded by the ancient dragons. And again, we're talking about the dawn of time, over and over and over again. Dawn of time, dawn of time. And they're also gray, of course. And this is the version that you get after, like, what do? You put it in yourself in the, in Placidus Axis Arena. And then it turns into this version. So, the reason we are talking again about omniscient time-traveling Miquella specifically is perhaps he is Placidus X. Perhaps Marika is Placidus X. And if Marika is Placidus X, then pretty much everybody could be Placidus X. And then Miquella would be like the final version, so to speak. The final iteration in the sequence. So now that we've kind of zeroed in on Miquella, I want to jump over to a very secret zone in the game. It's in Altus Plateau, and I believe that it is very heavily related to Miquella. Miquella's needle is gotten by Millicent's needle on the Scarlet Aeonia, left in Melania's boss room. Right, so that's this one. Miquella's needle is gotten by using Millicent's needle. Yeah, so the first version is the broken one, and then the rot guy, whose name is eluding me at this moment, he mends it for you, and then you like incubate it. You give it like baby juice, and then you turn it into a dragon by combining it with silver or something. Bugman. His name is Gowry. Thank you, Pewdie. Yeah, Gowry is fascinating to me. I completely agree. So now we're going to jump over to Mirage Rise. And we're going to be talking about a couple of different rises here in the later sections. Mirage Rise is very interesting. You're in Altus Plateau. You're in like a sunken area that is a little bit off the beaten path. And then right when you look at this thing, it disappears. And I apologize, I never got a screenshot of the rise beforehand, but we've got plenty of pictures of all the stuff around it, so. Oh, and I need to, oh no, I got it. So, in Mirage Rise, we find a couple different things. We find a slumbering egg, which just sounds like Miquella in general. Just because he's in a cocoon and he's sleeping. That's like the main two things we know about him. Owl eggs that will never hatch. Material, and also it says that this will never hatch, which is similar to Miquella, who is never growing to adulthood. He's like eternally a child, right? Material used for crafting items, prized as a symbol of the most sublime slumber, maybe hinting towards the St. Trina connection. But then this one's a little bit weirder. This one should raise a lot of eyebrows. It's the Unseen Blade, one of the night sorceries of Celia, Town of Sorcery. And if you guys remember my very first video about Miquella, I said that Miquella was most closely associated with straight swords. He's a straight sword user, I believe, and has several swords made for him and made for his soldiers that are straight swords. Enchants armament held in right hand, making it completely invisible. Used by Celian assassins to present themselves as unarmed sorcerers. So that could hint at the fact that he is actually capable, even though he looks weak. But more importantly, I want to emphasize that it comes from Celian assassins, who we know are Noxian themselves, some of them, and come from this very ancient time. Now, the Nox and the Newman are not stated for sure to be contemporary with one another, but I believe that at one point they were very intimately, like they kind of like kiss each other in the timeline of existence. Wee little baby. Oh, look at me, I'm just a wee little baby who can't cause extreme harm to those around me. Here, I'll show you. Let me show you this cool looking branch I've got. Yeah, exactly. Base straight sword and great shield user. Yeah. Yeah. So we've got these two items here, which already make me go, okay, so it's a sorcerer who does not want to be seen, who's hanging out in Altus Plateau, but is like picking the spot that's basically the least visible to the Erd Tree itself. And all around this area, you see evidence that this may have been one of Miquella's experimentation zones. If you guys remember, there's a place that has special starlight related to Miquella, the Amber Starlight, and that is like not very far from here. And then you can follow, like, I wouldn't call them a trail, they're not like in a line or anything, but all dotted around this area are these items, the sacramental buds, and we'll get back to that in a second. So what is around Mirage Rise, you ask? Well, only the most Miquellan symbols that exist in this game. We find a worm face, which isn't necessarily related to Miquella, but it is very closely related to Godwyn because they spout death blight and are decomposers themselves, thus very closely associated with death. Right. Starlight said to have the power to turn the gods into puppets. Who knows how deep that, if you found that power, I'm really not sure, like, what are the limits of that power wise? It's like Miquella could have done pretty much anything with that. So moving on though, here we have a worm face specifically crying. If you see in a Dark Souls game a character crying over a grave who normally doesn't show that human of emotions, your ears should be like, this is important. Quick, get the camera, mom. And that's exactly what I did. And then I found nearby, at the grave itself, I mean, come on. It's too easy. Miquella's Lily. Okay, I'm just going to move it over here because I didn't quite do that right. Delicate water lily of unalloyed gold that has started to fade and wilt. Material used for crafting items, exceedingly rare to find. A flower signifying faith in the Halig tree. Thought to be beloved by the Empyrean Miquella in his youth. And I'm just going to zoom in on this and let you absorb. Look at how many symbols exist that we've been talking about today. Just go ahead and absorb that for a second while I catch up with chat. You like gay sorts better? I mean, yeah. Yeah. Gallery is fuck. Oh, yeah. Look. Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, I actually did read everything. It's just one more I have to read. Humans are the only ones we cannot see crying. Humans are the only ones we cannot see. Don't see crying over a grave. Now that is extremely interesting to me. I don't know what to make of that. Well, that's a good note, Chalier. Thank you, as always. So, to make it explicit for you, we've got the little wheat flower thing growing out of a lily, and we also have the roots of the Yggdrasil, the roots that entangle us all, the roots that tie us all together. Very interesting item here. So, of course that's there. And then of course, the nascent butterfly is literally right next to him. Right here. As if you needed any more confirmation that this was like a stand-in for Miquella mourning his brother's death. So that's like one of the reasons why I'm like, oh, I don't know if he orchestrated. I don't know who orchestrated Godwin's death besides Ronnie. Because he does, this metaphor seems genuinely mournful. Anyway. No, not farm cleanup mode. Nascent butterfly, an arcane butterfly with translucent wings. This butterfly appears as if it's just emerged from its cocoon for its entire life. And we all know... I can't eat that right now, but I'll try and find a minute. This butterfly appears as if it's just emerged from its cocoon for its entire life, which is exactly Miquella coded. So, nearby, but not at this exact spot, is a crystal bud. A young plant crystallized before it could mature, widely found in Liurnia Lake. That is important. We know Liurnia is related to the Nox, the Newman, and the closer you get to the Nox and the Newman, the closer you get to the ancient past that this dynasty is said to exist in. So it's very interesting that he starts his experimenting with this plant that is known well to the people of the past, the people that I believe he and Marika may come from. There's also a rhymed crystal bud version, but we do not see that here. We only see that in the frozen places. This is maybe not as important, but I do find it really interesting that the Liurnian crystal is often associated with frost, and thus Ronnie and the snowy crone and all that type of stuff. Right, that's true, Shalair. But most importantly is the sacramental bud. The sacramental bud, of course, can be found in that original place where the amber starlight was, but it can also be found nearby this area. There's a couple of them right around here. And this is the one that many in the lore community believe is evidence of Miquella's experiments, trying to grow their initial tree supplemented with sacred blood, containing fresh blood, believed to originate long ago from a strain of buds cultivated with youthful sacramental blood. So Miquella is mixing his special god Marika DNA into these crystals and turning them into sacramental buds. And I believe this is very likely how the Halig tree comes to be. So he's trying to do something similar to what Marika has done before. If we are to believe that Marika turned the Erd Tree into what it is today. Maybe she didn't create the Erd Tree specifically, but she seems to have certainly shaped it in her image. Then this could be him starting down the same road with different parameters. This time incorporating blood and thus the Mother of Truth and Moog and the Land of Reeds and everything I've been so obsessed with today. This really just ties the room together. So maybe he found this rise, he found the proof of Celia being associated with Marika, and thus hid Mirage Rise from onlookers. Growing stuff with blood definitely had no intentions of being kidnapped, imbued with the godliest of bloods to grow into one an adult and two an even more powerful god. Definitely not the case. Shaleer's spitting. They spitting. Yeah, even if you don't include the Sword of Saint Trina, there's still Miquella Nightsword and the Golden Epitaph, if not more. Exactly, and you perfectly segued me into my next photo, which is a photo that I did not know existed. Emily Aiden, you missed a lot. We've been going insane, but don't worry. Now that it's on YouTube, it will be instantly uploaded. It's all going in, and you can watch the VOD and jump around past me, like fumbling over my words. Because we've also done a bit of that. So, you gotta eat the melon. So I didn't know that this existed. The last protagonist actually had to tell me that. Okay, yeah. Glad to see you. Great to have you in. The Miquella Nightsword has a sheath. I have a completely bugged version of my PS5 game because I started my character like day one, I think, or just early enough that like somehow I got patched weird, and I've never had a Miquella Nightsword with a sheath, and everybody else did, but it has one of the biggest clues. Look at this. It's the Mother of Truth. Come on. It's crazy. This, I believe, could be Farum Azula. And these are the original 5 towers, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah, it's a blood star. You're absolutely right, Shaleer. Thank you. That's also why I wanted to do this live. Everybody can keep me honest. And remind me of shit. So, if you've seen my interpretation of the Blue Dancer set, who I said was very important here, on the back of their coat, they have a depiction of what I believe is Farum Azula and the great bridge that once connected the lands between before this place got shunted to the bottom of the world. So I think this dynasty was originally in the middle of the world, but more close to the lands between, and then Marika did like a classic get over here, but opposite. She pushed them away down to the bottom. But originally they were up here, and then Farum Azula was like right at its center, and in the center of the center is destined death. That's what I believe. I know, it's so funny. Why, Miyazaki? Why would you do that? It's like he's telling us something. But yeah, and howdy, Nasty Nathaniel. Welcome in. Thank you so much for coming. So that's also what I think is being depicted here, just with a different color scheme, because Destined Death is red, and the Blue Dancer, or the Blue Dancer armor is a black dot. So either one I think works. And I can't remember, but there's other places that this symbol exists in game. The classic inverted get over here. Yeah. That goes into the category of stumbling over my words, but we rock and we roll, baby. You just keep going. When you're performing, you just gotta keep going. Um, so let's talk about Farum Azula. Farum Azula, yay, 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 yay. Let's analyze it in detail. First of all, Deathblight. What does that look like to you? Does that not look like the frickin' tree from the first image? It's a bunch of roots coming out of the ground and shooting up. And I believe they mimic the tree that we are going to see. There's 5 characters with Moog symbol tattoos, says Shalir. I don't remember exactly which 5, but thank you. Oh yeah, Nigerius. Nigerius is certainly one of them. So we have the worm faces here, and the worm faces I think are extra interesting because I don't think they're supposed to be like this. They are afflicted with the Deathblight, right? And I believe they're supposed to look like the good little blue friends from the spirits, because the spirits we know are like some of the earliest depictions of creatures usually. There's could relate to those characters. Oh, interesting. Don't Carrion Knights have little red jewels on their armor, as well as Alberic? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh shit. Okay, that's super cool. Thank you. I actually didn't know that one. So, and I don't know if it's that relevant, but we do see Reeds again here in Farum Azula, but they've been frozen in time, and they're in this, like, I don't know, it's not quite dead, right? It's like a different state of being. But I found that pretty interesting that they had the same decorations. And then finally, in the center of the center, in the mausoleum, we have this depiction here, and this is going to center the final section for us. They're effectively dormant, right? Some plants will do that in winter. Oh, interesting. They'll actually change colors and stuff. Okay, yeah, so they're dormant. Very cool. Which is what we know of Farum Azula. It's been lost in time. And if you guys know my Elden Pangea theory, I kind of described it there when we were talking about the Blood Star. But if you want to go look at that, I have a mural board on my link tree that lays that out in more detail of why I think Farum Azula was the cosmic entity that made time flow. It used to be in the center, and then Destined Death was supposed to be the mechanism that made time flow forward. Because what is time if not inching ever closer to death? Sorry for that one. But here we have the most important statue in the whole game, bar none. I believe that this is the Gloam-Eyed Queen with her 3 wolves. I don't necessarily know what the wolves represent, but we're going to be exploring that in great detail. Coming right up. Give me one more second. My mom dropped a caprese salad on me, so I gotta, like, nom that real quick as fast as I can, and I'll be right back. Thank you so much for being here. I know this has been a really long slog, but we're almost there. We just have one more section to go. One more rather large section. Okay, be right back. Right, homies. I'm just about back. I'm just putting on a little more lipstick. Making sure I'm prim and proper. Good enough. Well, really, I'm looking at Grinder while I brush up the dregs. Got left. Amazing. I think I missed one of your messages, though. Oh, right. Blaze it, ladies. Ladies. Blaze it has been issued. Alright, let's fucking do it. I think this will be our last section, y'all. This has been going really well. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, Grinder. I was like, dang. Oh, well, it's gay month after all, so I had gay on the mind. Okay. Got you. Let's hear it for the gays. One time for the gays. So, why do I believe that this lady is the Gloam-Eyed Queen? Well, the easy answer is that she's in the room where Malekith is, and Malekith is said to hold destined death, and I think in order to do that, he had to kill the Gloam-Eyed Queen. It's not 100% clear if he just got it and then ran away here, but because there's two versions of Garank, I believe that the one we fight may be the version that got stuck in time with Farum Azula when they did this godly act. There's like several times that Marika commits what I would call miracles, and this could be one of them, and there's always lots of consequences when you do stuff like that. So let's talk about what those could be, as well as proving out that why I think this lady is her. So, the reason I think, well, one of the reasons I think it's her is because of this character. All throughout today, for meter herbs, all throughout today we've been talking about Caria, moon magic, Celia, night magic, and all of those keywords center ourselves around a feminine character of death. Even Frost has like connections with sleep and death through Saint Trina, and Saint Trina is definitely important for this interpretation here. Here we see what I believe to be the Gloam-Eyed Queen, but I also believe that this may be Marika. The Duke-kissed herb. Yeah, where it turns into a scarf at the end. Yeah, it's crazy. So, she has braids, but importantly, the braids aren't her hair. Or at least it doesn't look like it. I think the braids are actually the scarf itself. And her hair underneath is actually very wild. And importantly, it's black. So, if you remember, Renala has black hair, and when we analyzed Saint Trina in that insanely long episode that I just released like a couple weeks ago, I believe that connects all of these characters together through their wild, allegedly black hair. And I think Saint Trina might have had white hair, so part of that theory is kind of debunked now from one of the shots in the DLC, but regardless, I think that the Tibia Mariners are direct candidates for people who would have been associated with the Gloam-Eyed Queen in the original incarnation of the Lands Between, when Death and Death was in place and there was death birds that weren't all fucked up. I think also the Tibia Mariners were representative of her style, and they have the same like hooded cloak thing here. I can't tell if they're supposed to have beards or if they just have this like weird hair hanging out of their teeth. I can't really decide. So they could be dudes, they could be chicks, but regardless, I think it's very interesting that they have this veil that has like a weird third eye looking deal right here. Just like Saint Trina. And the stuff that's around them is often very purple in hue. So purple, as we have talked about many times on my channel and just in my work in general, is intensely associated with death. It was originally in the 1.0 version of the game, you could actually get to Malekith, and the Destined Death that he uses is purple instead of red. So there's lots of reasons why I believe that. Right. Right. Bearded skeletons. Oh, he loves bearded skeletons. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd lean towards genderless myself. They're more like deity spirit things. But this design can also be found on the giants in the Nox place. They have very similar veils, and they all obscure the face, which is a classic a knowing maiden, a maiden who knows more than she should. And that could be what's going on here with the Gloam-Eyed Queen, who is basically the only other mother figure that we know about besides Marika. Now, I don't think I'm going to state whether I think the Gloam-Eyed Queen is the mother of truth. I'm not so totally sold on that, but what I do think is that at some point Marika and the Gloam-Eyed Queen were one, and maybe this again is Marika doing one of her classic homewrecker scenarios. But her and this identity have split since then, and maybe the death that she is talking about when she says that she stole away Destined Death and likely killed the Gloam-Eyed Queen, it may have just been killing off this part of herself. If she is a true god, she is the center of all beingness and oneness, then if she is to remove death, she may have to remove a part of herself. And this character, who is depicted with Malekith near where Destined Death was sealed away, we have what seems to be, this could be a pregnant maiden. And the fact that they aren't the exact same age to me here doesn't mean that much, because this asset was made a long time before this one. Let me read up on chat real quick. Red gem spotted? Oh, you've spotted another one already? Oh my god, it's right here. Yup. You know who else has this red gem thingy going on? Is the fire giants. We don't have time to talk about them, but just something for your guys' brains to chew on. Skeletons are known for their lack of gender. Can confirm. Classic Marika homewrecker scenario. Need to figure out how many hooded important lore figures there are, because if we find 7, then one great being, the Dagda, Celtic god for gods basically, may not be a totally crackpot theory. That you are on the right track for sure, I think. So imagine that Marika is several characters, but these characters are aspects of herself. And when she kills the Gloam-Eyed Queen, if you remember all the way back to our discussion of Haetta, they say that everything came from the first sin, and that because of that, everything fractures. So rebirth is still happening in this world, right? You can't really stop that. she just circumvented the way that resurrection used to happen and has funneled it through the Erd Tree itself. Right, the one great. Yep, we talked about that super early on. So, what I believe, and this is crackpot theory time again, we're in the fun zone, fun house, that she was reborn into more than one character. I believe that she is the snowy crone that is referenced by Ronnie, and she was reborn into Melina and Miquella / Saint Trina. More importantly, Saint Trina. Do you believe the DLC will answer nearly all of your questions, or stuff will remain open-ended? I feel like it'll answer 50%. I feel like, because if we get to know more about that scene with Marika in the trailer, that's going to be answering everything that I said today. So you guys can literally go into the game, and if you see that scene and then you talk to some NPCs after that, you can be like, ha, Trina, you're such an idiot. You got this, and that wrong. I'm praying. Trina equals triple in Latin. Also very important. Trina equals triple in Latin, says Emily over on YouTube. And I think that's really, yes. The triple goddess, the maiden mother crone, the three sisters, and Trina herself all reference the prime three, which brings us all the way back. Thank you, Emily. That was baller edition to these guys, the Holy Trinity and all that stuff. So yeah, great addition. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Emily, says everybody in chat. The Earth, yeah, we'll have 50% answered, then they'll introduce 38% more questions. I agree. Something interesting is that Marika fractures like stone and split into many aspects. However, Melina's aspects aren't from fracture, but the same cloning process that succulents do to make more of themselves. Oh, very cool. Yay! I'm so glad, Rancid. So yeah. So this is, I'm finally doing it, you guys. I'm so happy right now. I'm actually feeling good. Been sitting on this stuff for so long, you know? So I believe that these wolves are the ones that Ronnie gives us at the start. When she gives us our very first spirit summon, and it's called Lone Wolf, but there's 3 wolves, and you're like, what's up with that? If Marika is the lone wolf, and she already had 3 aspects, if she would like split super early on in the timeline into Radagon, Marika, and the Gloam-Eyed Queen, and then she used Radagon to raise up this army in this other place, and maybe that's the father of Mesmer, but that's neither here nor there. And then the Gloam-Eyed Queen would have managed death until Marika was like, we gotta get her out of here. That's fucked up. I can't die. And neither can the tree. Feel your brain expand and it cannot be contained anymore, and embrace your sweet new firehead. Hell yeah. Always made fun of the title Lone Wolves, but there's a reason for that, bruh. Maybe. I don't want to say that one's for sure, but I do think there is a reason for it. That one, it could be a mistake. Who knows? So that's why we have the Gloam-Eye on Melina. I think this is the Gloam-Eyed Queen winning over Melina, because Marika didn't. Maybe she did know. Maybe Marika knew that the Gloam-Eyed Queen would be reincarnated soon, and she probably didn't know about Saint Trina, but she might have known about Melina, and thus like put Melina in her weird Erd Tree bound spell prison that like kind of begins her story in general. Bear with me, Plassey is Mesmer's dad. That's not off the table, Shalir. That's not off the table. You don't know if you've said this, but it all reminds you of Romulus and Remus, the story of the founders of Rome, who are raised by wolves. Totally. And especially, you are right, because, well, I don't know about right. I don't want to say right or wrong in this scenario, but you're especially on point with that interpretation because of... Where are the shields? I need shields! Oh, is it under armor? No. Is it under weapons? Yeah. Because the item that I should have included, but I didn't. First of all, we have this one. This represents Rome, and it's two sides. East and West Rome. Where is it? This one. This is the one I should have included because I believe that this represents Marika and the Gloam-Eyed Queen directly, and the fact that these two birds are touching one another and almost seem to be the same bird is hinting at what I'm talking about today. That's what I believe. Hyacinth, have you heard Shalir talk about how Marika is Agrippina and Miquella is Nero? Oh yeah, you were talking about that the other day. A shield is extremely lore. Yeah, big time lore. Speaking of Placidusax, how many heads are missing exactly? Couldn't be 3, could it? Yeah, exactly. Placidusax is missing 3 heads, aka the chaos side, aka the death side of its body. Did bring it up. Good. Yeah. Yeah, you did. At least I know about that interpretation, but I don't know enough. I need to actually like look up Romulus or Nero myself. 3 + 2 = 5, and 5 points to the Blood Star. Correct, Shalir. Correct. I do, but unfortunately I don't know enough about it. Yeah, okay, yeah, vibes. We'll look into that. I'll definitely do a little researching. By the way, now that we have everybody here for sure, I just wanted to mention that YouTube is available for you now and dual casting for the rest of time. And if you want less ads, honestly, YouTube is better. And I'm going to merge the chats eventually. So, shit's spitting on this stream. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, that's what I was going for. I was just going for like, this is like the mega dump, you know? This is the mega dump. This is my last one before the DLC, like, for sure. My girlfriend needs me to work on our damn game. So, anyway, to round out our stuff talking about the wild hair and stuff, I think it's very, very important that a god of chaos be represented with wild hair. And Saint Trina is represented the same way. She has 8 swirls, like an octopus, and she has her third eye open, and her eyes obscured, just like the Haetta Maiden, just like the Tibia Mariners, and certainly just like this person, whoever this is, which I'm pretty firm on her being the Gloam-Eyed Queen and Marika's twin. I know a lot of people have said, oh, I think it's one of Marika's daughters. I'm not really of that mind at all. Not that I'm hating. I ain't player hating on the theories, but hi McFrenzy, thank you so much for coming over the YouTube side. That's nice of you. The third eye is exactly where Haetta's third eye is. Yep, exactly. Just like Haetta, just like this guy. They've all got it. And then the final one, and this is the one that I wasn't sure. I think Zlofsky just like came up with this one on their own. They mentioned that this band is like identical to this band. More so than some of the other helixes. There's honestly a lot of different helixes in this game, but I thought that these two plus this one, the Commoner's headband, were all pretty spot on. And the interesting thing is that Miquella is a lord. He's like a gold guy, right? He's unalloyed gold, but all of these symbols are silver, and they're associated with the Albinorics, who are themselves likely made out of mercury / water silver. You're still confused about Gideon's third eye? Why is it where Fire Giant's third eye is? Oh, he has a third eye on his belly? Oh, I don't know. So I think that I'll give you my interpretation of the third eye symbol in general. His armor. Well, where on his armor? Okay, I'll look into that. But I just want to give you my quick version that I think like the belly and the forehead are supposed to be like opposing chakras. Like this one's like the one connected to the stars, and this is the one connected to birth. Like this is like uterus knowledge, and this one's like celestial knowledge. Yeah, he does have eyes kind of everywhere. Oh yeah, I think it's on his helmet too. He's got ears on his knees. I don't know if... Oh, the eyes might be on his knees too. There's also eyes on the Fire Giant's knee or shin guards, I think. Am I wrong about that? Oh, let me not reveal the next section too quick. Okay. So yeah, so I think all of these wild-haired people are the same person, and it's kind of funny that the Snowy Crone who taught Ronnie could have been the Gloam-Eyed Queen, sure, but it could have been omniscient, time-traveling Miquella in a Saint Trina form through Ronnie's dreams, because she importantly goes on her great journey by going to sleep. Also, in the opening cutscene of the game, everyone's eyes are looking at the grace floating in front of them. Even Hanged Dung Eater. However, with Gideon, we can clearly see his eyes, but his grace appears from the third eye on his belly. Oh, so interesting. Yeah, I think there's more. I think if they expand on Gideon, he'll become, like, infinitely more important than he is in the base game. He's already really important because he drops so much dialogue, but he doesn't like act in the main plot that much, other than trying to stop you at the last second. So I would like to see him act more. If Miquella time travels, I want them to come back from the future in a gun. Let's go! You were just, Emily says on YouTube, you were just noticing all the nascent butterflies and Trina lilies in both Nokron and Caria Manor. Seems relevant. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Miquella's heir from AC6 confirmed. Best timeline. Let's go. Okay, that's funny. Okay, so we got one more section. So I already revealed, I spilled the beans on what this next section is, but it's all about Marika and the twin stuff. So I posit this question to you, chat. Why does a sun/tree goddess wear black and have sneaky snake imagery on her dress? No, derailment is good. That's what this is for. That's what this is for. I like engagement. I like hanging out with you guys, you know? So let's talk about it. First of all, she's a goddess of light. Why on earth is she not wearing white and gold? I don't get it. Maybe it hints at the fact that she was the Gloam-Eyed Queen, or she has the same DNA, so to speak, as the Gloam-Eyed Queen. You see her dress, it's kind of wrapping around her like this. It seems very snake-like to me, like a snake tail, which we know from the Godskins and all of that. The Gloam-Eyed Queen is very associated with these quicksilver snakes. It's very important to note that the Godskins have that silvery, sleek texture to them, because I think this all ties in with the Albinorics and the truth that life does not just come from gold, but true divinity comes of gold and silver, of life and death. And if Marika was the one true god, she would also be a god of death. And that is what I think is being betrayed by her dress. First of all, we have a crown that looks kind of like the Miquella knots we've been talking about before. That's not as important. We also have these knots right here that are very similar to the Brave set, referring back to this first society that is the Badlands, the Land of Reeds, and the Land of Shadow all in one, and also the Sun Realm. I didn't really lay that out as well as I wanted to, but that's fine. But more importantly, and you guys might scoff at this one, but does this not look to you like a snake face and a snake tongue? We know Marika is a trickster and is shape-shifting and has those types of things associated with her. Maybe she is directly the snake that she hates so much and is trying to reject as hard as she can. Snake is a symbol of the eternal Ouroboros, fertility, duality, and rebirth, shedding skin. Absolutely. And we're gonna get into that again in a couple minutes. It's fucking Kathan Frampt again. Honestly, it is. We've known for a long time that Miquella has said I've been trying to make the same game over and over again and ramping it up. I don't remember if he actually said that. Somebody's gonna need to fact check me on that one, but yeah. Primordial Serpents again. You got it. You beat the final boss of the DLC, and then you hear Miquella say, "So, have you found reason to fight yet, buddy?" And then flamenco guitar starts. Can you draw glasses on Gloam-Eyed Melina? Okay, I will, Breaker. I got you. We were talking about what you just posted on the lore earlier, by the way. You had a good point, and I found some other stuff that looks like the Miquella knots. So if you want to go check out the VOD at some point. You wanted to believe it wasn't those two again. Yeah. It's kind of silly. Yeah, you definitely helped. It was legit. Very legit. And we're looking at one again here. So it's very interesting that Marika has the same weird knot braids that Miquella has. I think that her design, her outfit, is supposed to reveal what she really is and not what she claims to be. So we see the little plants here. We see the Ouroboros. We see the Miquella knots, and we see, more importantly, the black color that I assume the Gloam-Eyed Queen is wearing. Miquella's hair is tied into the same snake knot as far as you remember. Oh, interesting. Do you mean in Miquella's golden needle or whatever? Or is that Radagon's? Anyway. We can't fit everything in here, you know? There's only so much I can do. Okay, so we talked about the Mirage Rise. I think the rises are extremely important to this story because they tell the story of witches. And witches in this story are often turning out to be heretical, and so are prophets. Haetta, Selen. Those are the types of people we're talking about today. Okay, sweet. Sweet, that'd be awesome, Shalir. If you want to share that in the Discord too, I'd be really appreciative. So, why does she have that? I think that the answers for not only Marika and the Gloam-Eyed Queen, but also Godfrey, because he is intensely related to the Crucible and the place we are about to go, all exist in this one lake. The lake where we find the Frost Dragon. There are so many important items here, and we're going to go over a few. But first, notice that heretical rise is right here. Miyazaki loves his heretics, so if you see a location named Heretic anything, immediately go there. And then we also have Spirit Caller Cave. Wait. There we go. Now she's sexy. Ooh, sexy. You're welcome. I almost forgot. So these two are very important. I think both of these are related to the Gloam-Eyed Queen. And then right across with the Lord Contender's Everjail in between. I think that's just a little metaphor hint there. Because obviously it's not literally either of them. It's just that one guy. But here we have the first Church of Marika. The first one. I believe that this location is referring to Marika's childhood, so to speak. And Marika's childhood means the original dynasty. It means Godfrey. And not surprisingly, nearby there is also Castle Sol. And we'll say a little bit about Castle Sol when we're just shooting the shit at the end. But I believe Castle Sol is Godfrey's beginning. It might be not literally, it might be metaphor land, their beginnings, but I do think it's literally because of the items we're about to see. Vike stuck in the middle with you. Yeah, true. Back to Albrecht, described as aloof yet disturbed heretical sorcerer, uses thorn sorceries and frost. You got it, Emily. Castle Sol, always important. My Miquella killed Godwin theory. Yeah. Castle Sol in general is like extremely important, and of course we know Sol is taking its etymology from the sun, and so that's why I think they're all related to Farum Azula, the ancient dynasty, the place that's in the shadow, the shadow of the Erd Tree, and the Sun Realm, which like I said, I didn't lay it out as well as I wanted to, but still works. Literally sounding like soul. Yeah, soul meaning sun and sounding like soul, both very important, because I think that the whole lands between are like a body of their own as well. And it could be that the one great was the continent, like some kind of hyper-Pangea that existed a long time ago. It could be Placidus Axe. It could be the inside of the snake deity that maybe Marika's coming out of in the second trailer, or it could be what I just said, but I have ADD, so I forgot. The one great was Mata Nui? You're gonna have to expand on that one. Okay, so first of all, heretical rise. Founding Reign of Stars, y'all. I mean, come on. If that's not the start of our timeline, what is? The eldest primeval sorcery, said to have been discovered by an ancient astrologer. If Marika is the one doing the crazy shit at the start of time, maybe she's an ancient astrologer. And if she's an ancient astrologer, her connections with the Gloam-Eyed Queen directly seem a lot more likely to me. Because the Gloam-Eyed Queen has so many magic, moon, night things associated with her. Also, the Eclipse Hotel causes death blight, which is explicitly a half wheel. You're absolutely right. It's the death side of the Ouroboros. Absolutely. Summon a dark cloud of stars overhead. Shortly after, the cloud will release a violent deluge of star rain. This sorcery can be cast while in motion. Thought to be the founding glintstone sorcery. The glimpse of the primeval current that the astrologers saw became real, and the stars amber rained down on this land. That sounds like a cataclysmic, insane god-level event that I really hope we get to see in the DLC. It'd be so cool. And then, not far away, directly opposite of the first Church of Marika, we find the Spirit Caller Cave, which has so many important items. I believe PewDiePie mentioned earlier that Okina's set is found there. Is that right? I can't remember. But importantly, we find the Godskin Swaddling Cloth, which is the main reason why I think this lady is the Gloam-Eyed Queen. Specifically, because the Godskin swaddling cloth exists, and it's putting a massive emphasis on her role as mother. Right, it's also the only place samurai spirit summons appear. You go into this cave, what do you find? You find samurais, you find spirit calling snails, which look eerily similar to the Godskins, and you find Godskins themselves. Just look at all this. And of course there's some reeds here, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. So look at them, they're all here. The gang's all here. We have a spirit caller, who I believe the Gloam-Eyed Queen was. I believe she was a spirit caller. And the fact that Marika is spirit calling is also very indicative of this whole motif where Miquella is like returning to his roots, finding out about death stuff. You think so, but it's also where the followers of Okina are found. Only place we see them, yeah. Spirit Samurai, yeah, that'd be great. We might get one still. Gloam-Eyed Snail Mommy, exactly. So here we have, yeah, like I said, the gang's all here. The gang's all here. Look at them. They have the same tail. And if you remember, these guys look a lot like snakes. They're called spirit calling snails, but they're not really that. The snail anatomy stops here. This is all snake. And snakes are directly related to dragons in most of Miyazaki's work. Those are friggin' snakes. Yeah, exactly. They're definitely not snug. Snail's my ass. Look at this gang. Zooms in on snail. Yeah. Okay, so here are some other ones I found in the area. The silver firefly and the freezing grease. That's just not as interesting, but what is interesting is we've got these, even the trees here are spirits, and we have all of those jellyfish all over the place. Something bad happened here. And I think that bad thing was Marika doing another heretical act. Who knows how many of these events are the same event, because we can't quite tell. But at least one of them, I think, killed a lot of people here. And left it like this. And remember, who's here? Who's in the mountains? The giants, who Marika pretends not to be related to, and the Zamor swordstresses, who have been completely forgotten by time, but I believe that is what is being revived with the blue dancer. It's the Zamor swordstresses and the fire giants who were the first beings that Marika was a part of this culture because it was the only one at the time. Right. Marika did a lot of bad things in those mountaintops. Right. It's so help me if Mesmer's dad is the fire giant. Holy shit, that would make so much sense. That'd be so awesome. Having ties to them more, making me somehow like them even more. Yeah, they're awesome, and I believe they're supposed to represent primordial man and woman. That's my, like, I'm really laying it out for you guys right now. Alright, let me get a little bit of water here. You guys wanted crazy? I got you on the crazy. The Zamor were also originally meant to be companions specifically of the Tarnish. Yes, they were going to be like the only thing you summoned, I think, in the original incarnation of the summon system. The Zamor were all... Oh, yeah. The Zamor curved greatsword also has a kind of dancing R1 similar to the flowing curved sword. Absolutely. Blue Dancer is 100% your favorite hidden lore character. Damn, you're going to make a Zamor build. There's so many cool lore builds, you guys. I could never get fully tired of this game. It's so beautiful. It's got so many layers. Use Zamor in the left hand and flowing in the right, and you'll see how much they fit together. Wow. Spoilers, it's like they're two puzzle pieces meant to be together. Dang, literally. 10 character slots is not nearly enough. I agree. but it does make me care a lot about the slots. It does make me think before I commit to a character. So, Spirit Caller Cave. This is literally the Gloam-Eyed Queen's home. And it's right across from the first Church of Marika. Like, this is where she hung out. This is where she trained the Godskin Apostles, probably. You need more, yeah. As an invader, you gotta make even more characters sometimes. Sacred cloth of the Godskin Apostles. Sacred. It's very, very important. And again, what do we see? White and gold. White and gold, the same colors that we see constantly associated with Miquella. And through that chain, Saint Trina, whom I believe has part of the Gloam-Eyed Queen within her. See? We have another glasses for you there. I got you, freaks. Give him a joint, too. Yeah? What'd you realize? It's too far. You saw a vid. Okay, so Emily said you saw a vid. Forgot who it was. Who mentioned that the Moor mask looks like Miquella, but it's also wild gray hair. Reminds you of the Frenzied Flame and Melina. You were absolutely right. And Saint Trina, and probably the Gloam-Eyed Queen, in my opinion. One looks open while the other one is closed. You are absolutely right. This one is like sealed shut by a scar. Add stink line. No, it's not stink lines, it's smoke. I'm just bad at drawing. Okay, that's great, Emily. Man, everybody's on fire. Y'all are too smart. Way too smart. Okay, apostles, Godskin Apostles, made from supple skin sewn together. Wow, look, there's our character. There's split beef, my love. The Gloam-Eyed Queen cradles newborn apostles swaddled in this cloth. Soon they will grow to become the death of the gods. Come on, it's too easy. The Saint Trina follower NPC we see in the DLC trailers looks like a Zamornite. Very interesting observation. I'm gonna look at that stuff again. I'm gonna like reconsume the DLC trailers after this and see what my brain thinks. So the Black Flame Ritual, which some have said the Godskin emblem kind of looks like a womb. Just another note for us. What if Melina is the perfect apostle? Oh, interesting. Badass baby. Thank you, Rancid. That's a funny clip. Friend of Oyster, welcome in over on YouTube. Thank you so much. Yeah, the mask, the braid does look similar. Hell yeah. Shut up, Tony. I have to turn this baby into Gabagool. Yay! The homies. Yeah, this is our first ever stream to live to YouTube. We're live also on Twitch. And I haven't merged the chats yet, but I will before the next stream, because it's not hard. Thank God. Gloam-Eyed Queen, no, but no, don't put the baby in the sandwich press. Oh my God. And then also, of course, we have the Black Flame Ritual. Superior Black Flame incantation of the Godskin Apostles. Summons a circle of black flame pillars around the caster. The Gloam-Eyed Queen led the apostles. It is said that she was an Empyrean chosen by the Fingers. It is said... Let me read that again. It is said that she was an Empyrean chosen by the Fingers. In my opinion, the only Empyrean from the olden days that we know about for sure is Marika. So that is part of why I think maybe the Gloam-Eyed Queen was a part of Marika at one point, and then they split apart. And that is part of why I include... AKA everyone is Marika in the omniscient time-traveling Miquella theory. You never noticed it until semi-recently, but look at Melena's hand sometime. Oh. Oh my god, I've never looked at her hands in my life. That the Gloam-Eyed Queen to Marika, what Saint Trina is to Miquella. Absolutely, friend of Oyster. You came in at the end, but don't worry, you can watch the VOD later. Well, not really, like close to the end. But obviously you picked up very quickly. Yes, an alternate version of these fates. So I believe that Miquella represents the Omega to Marika's Alpha. If she was the first person to come out of the primordial soup and give herself her own defined identity and fate, then she started the chain that he will close. Not really relevant, but do you remember that the interview Miyazaki did where he admitted that the story George R.R. Martin wrote had the demigods as more human, and it was FromSoft that made them into monsters? Right, yeah, he made them more ethereal, more larger than life. Right. Which is exactly what he wanted. He wanted to take somebody else's story and then deify it, in my opinion. Are they? They look too uniform to you. Her burn scars? Oh. Oh, I think I missed a tiny bit of what you guys are talking about. The common theory is that it's burn marks, but there's room for interpretation. Yeah. Why would she already have burn marks? Perhaps, unless she is the Gloam-Eyed Queen's reincarnation, or a vessel that is used to seal away the Gloam-Eyed Queen's identity, while Malekith holds Dust and Death at bay as well. So, moving on. We're done talking about this place that I think holds basically all the keys that we're talking about today. Right, right. The Erd Tree has likely been burnt at least once, if not many times. A sewn vessel for her to return and take back Dust and Death. Yeah. Yeah, so, like, maybe her mom is not Marika, but actually the Gloam-Eyed Queen. It's possible. So, Master Hugh. Oh, Hughie boy. You're a very weird character. You seem to be, to me, like Marika's shame. I believe that he represents Marika's shame over herself. Her connection to the Crucible, her hatred of the giants, and thus the misbegotten. The Olin, yeah, who cannot be killed at any point. Wait, really? You can kill... aren't there a couple more? Oh, no. No, you're right, because... Yep. Crucible phobia. Yeah, her internalized crucible phobia. Just happen upon the finger reader dialogue as you're playing, and on your way to Althus, she says, without even half crescents that wish to be whole, without even the half crescents that wish to be whole, on the way to the lift of Altus and snowfields. Yeah, so the lift of Altus, I think, is representative of dawn in our time, and it's the other side of Gloam. So it's like, both of those things are insanely important to the story, and they both represent day mixing with night. The transition periods between those two states, and their connection therein. The connection that they betray. Every single character in ER can be killed except him. So, because maybe he just is a manifestation of Marika. And he says, I am indebted to a spirit tuner I met long ago. He doesn't say who that is, but what if that spirit tuner is Marika / the Gloam-Eyed Queen? He's incredibly loyal to them, to the point of chaining himself inside of this inner chamber that is the Round Table Hold. And we don't know where that is, but we know it is somehow intimately connected to the Erd Tree, because it starts to burn when the Erd Tree burns. And who is basically synonymous with the Erd Tree in this story. It's Marika. If Marika is synonymous with the tree that is rebirthing everything in the land, is it not also true that we take communion in her when we die and are reborn? And don't we all touch that tree? Right, Dusk of Gloam is Dust, Dusk of Ulasil, DLC is in Ulasil, girls, let's go. And I completely agree, Shalir. I completely agree. Oh no, that's totally fine, Emily. Yeah, no, thank you regardless. We're going to Londor, y'all. It's time. So that's what I think about him. Now let's talk about the tree itself, because the tree doesn't come out of nowhere, right? There's tons of world tree mythos that we can look at. Right. If we are born of God, are we not of God? Exactly. We are one with him. And that is, of course, what Hinduism emphasizes heavily in their spirituality, in the form of Shiva and Brahma. We're finally gonna see Kareem. Yup. Gnostic BBs as well. You're absolutely right. And the Celts. But that one's like way more speculative because, you know, we only understand so much of that, how that religion really worked. He's got dragon eyes, I feel like. I'd have to get a better picture to know for sure. But it's interesting that it's a male and it has a beard, and it seems to be an inner part of Marika to me. He wants to kill a god. It's like Marika's... It's like he promised Marika he'd finish it if she got caught up in some bullshit. Anyway, let's talk about Yggdrasil. So, this is like the most classic depiction of Yggdrasil that we have around. We have the main world tree here that is often at the top of a mountain, which I think it's kind of strange that it, in Elden Ring it's more like here. But regardless, we have the same exact design of this world. We've got a central, like a very important mountain, and then we've got rivers that flow through the land out to the sea, which is exactly what we see in our world. Right, and he's hammering weapons like he's destroying the Elden Ring. I totally forgot to mention this, Preaker, but another reason why I believe Hugh is an inner part of her and a part that she hates is because Radagon is the smith, and Radagon has a lot of self-hatred. So I believe Marika like ejected her self-hatred into this vessel of Radagon, tried to bury him along with the Gloam-Eyed Queen and all the other things she tries to push down, but eventually she decided she needed to reincorporate with him, and that's how that storyline comes to be. Smithing also do be divine, in ancient times at least. You are absolutely correct. So we've got the world tree here, but then, if you guys know, there's like a secondary, much more colossal tree that holds up the roots of the world. And of course, I think you know what I'm gonna say. It looks a lot like this tree that seems to be maybe holding it up. I said they could be like this with their branches this way, but they could also be like this, and it could be a weird laid on top of each other thing. Now, how is that possible? Because once we're talking that, it's kind of becoming physically impossible, right? There's a lore reason why we can't swing weapons in certain places, like the round table hold. Okay, that I actually, yeah, I will say that. I do think that if we're inside like the inner sanctum of God, it makes sense that we wouldn't really be able to hurt anything. And it would also betray that all of us tarnished are also connected to Marika, which would really solidify the whole everyone is Marika part of this theory. This confirms the Earth is flat too. Facts. You know, trees layering on top of each other is kind of my whole theory of understanding the Dark Souls universe. Yeah, I think it's like, well, some people don't think that the trees are as important in Bloodborne, but it could be how the Dreamlands are situated. So I wanted to bring up a different media. The shadow of the Erd Tree comes up from the bottom, just like Godwyn Deathroot coming up from the bottom. Absolutely. We actually showed that earlier. I think, were you here at that point? It was a ways back, wasn't it? Oh no, you might have seen this part actually. So yeah, it looks just like this. Just like when you get death-blooded. Yeah. So we did talk about this a little bit. The one issue I have with that, Shalier, is that it would mean that the random church and the Stormvale throne room are also places you can't attack in. Oh. Yeah, wait, why would that be true? Because they're not directly inside of the Erd Tree the way that the Round Table Hold is. Yeah, wow. It looks so similar. You're absolutely right, Oyster. So if we look at another Japanese media that has a world tree, we have a lot of similar motifs. You see, this is Hunter x Hunter's world here. And then you see they have the known world, and then they have a great sea. They call it a lake, but this is like the sea component in this depiction. And then out here is the Dark Continent. And out here in the Dark Continent, not on this map, there is another way bigger tree. That is supposed to be the roots of Yggdrasil. At least I believe. And how is that possible? This world, how could this be the roots that are holding up the world, but they're also over here? It's potentially possible if you have a mystical sea. If the sea is the realm of gods and associated with deep space and the primordial current, like we've talked about a couple times in the Heretical Rise and stuff like that, maybe it is a barrier between us and the Shadowlands, which are both beneath us, but also to the east of us, making the Land of Reed's description not a lie, but rather a clever trick that is both one and the same. Yeah, we love big trees. We love them. Right. Yeah. It's because Lil B placed an enchantment on non-violence in those places. Yeah, thanks, Lil B. Thank you, base god, for keeping peace and prosperity in the lands between. The sea being a mirror of the sky is such a cool mythology trope. Yeah, it's a great trope, and it's used all over the place in both Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Because also the sea got some fucked up creatures down there. Must be aliens. Yeah, so in our Elden Ring map, we have in the sea, we have those like here be monsters stuff. The same exact trope can be found in Hunter x Hunter with the like special spirit zone, where monsters and power levels skyrocket. They're way stronger. So I would be really interested to see some even bigger bosses than we've seen before, which would absolutely blow my mind, to be honest. But if you guys didn't know, this part of Yggdrasil is all related to death and sleep. Death and sleep! And this is like, you know, how the cycle of rebirth happens. You're supposed to go all the way to the bottom of the roots and go back up. But Marika's like, get out of here. Get out of here. I'm just cycling this guy. We're keeping you in the above realm. We're not letting you go to Sheol. Just start, So maybe that's like what the Tarnished had to do. They had to like go refresh. They had to go respawn properly. So that they can take Marika's place. Who knows how deep the roots can go? Exactly, that's true. That's true. It could be like it just keeps going and you don't really get to see how big the tree is because it's just so crazy. That would be awesome. But yeah, of course there's snakes down here and all the death stuff that we've seen, and like the river Styx guy brings you through here and that's how you get recycled. And maybe these are represented, these are like our worm faces. The worms were supposed to be at the roots, but they're trapped up here and even up here in Farum Azula. So they're really bumming, and that's why the ones in Farum Azula are all mourning. Because they still remember where they're supposed to be. Play Dark Souls? Oh, very nice. Have sailors from both sides describing impossibly large serpents in the sea in World War I. Hell yeah. Best game reviewer of all time, best rapper of all time. Thank you, Lil B. Thank you, Big G. Very cool. The layer keeps going until it wraps around in itself, and it then takes the shape of an even bigger world-eating serpent. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that about wraps that up. So now we can kind of just like put it all together. We're going to be looking at DLC again. So if you want to avert your eyes, this is the time. Hunter X Hunter. Which is on an even bigger layer of trees. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get to see that world-eating serpent, and hopefully it's the one that we see right here. So I mentioned this in my collaboration with Sinclair Lore and Sophie. I believe this birthing scene of Marika is supposed to mirror our birth inside of the Erd tree. There's one scene, there's like a sequence of cutscenes at the start of the game, and I'm sorry that I didn't get a picture of this one, but we are born, we stand up, and then we see the opening of the Erd tree throne room, and it looks a lot like a god tree vagina opening that we are walking through to be reborn. That's like the final step of Erd tree burials. You get born inside the throne room, and then you walk out, and then you regain your identity. I believe that is what Marika is mirroring here, because this doorway has the same exact shape, and we are in a very similar setting of Marika taking the threads of fate and giving herself an identity, becoming perhaps also the Gloam-Eyed Queen at the same time, or maybe splitting off into the Gloam-Eyed Queen later when she touched the center of the Crucible, where all life is being born. In this one moment. We're all just tree snacks. It's true. Yeah, Sinclair, the homie. So I mentioned it there, but this is like, you know, the full version. And maybe when they once again merge, maybe this is the best ending. Because Marika and the Gloam-Eyed Queen come back together inside of Melina. Poor girl became Pandora's box and opened herself. You're welcome, Freaker. Boom, Frenzy's the best ending. Thank you all so much. That's pretty much all I had to say. I just wanted to mention as a bonus at the end that Godfrey is from this culture. He is from the people maybe even slightly before Marika became a person, from this Braves culture who know about the Mother of Truth and know about the start of things. I believe he's a lion. I believe Sarash is him, and he is under the magic of some permanent version of the Mimic's veil, which I did not get a picture of. But I think Marika is tricking the world into believing he is a man, giving her legitimacy, but as per usual, rejecting their origins and rejecting their true selves, which is connected directly to chaos, the Crucible, and thus death. Marika just wanted to fuck a lion. Let's just be real. Like the first humans in the Dark Souls cutscene. Exactly. It's like the first humans when they find the soul of the fire of man. What is it called? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, where they all start shambling up. Yeah, those are all very similar scenes. And like I said, Miyazaki has been making the same story over and over again. So that is exactly what we should be looking for. Not to stamp on anything that Elden Ring has going for itself, but it is an important guide for us to use. I think something similar is happening with Miquella and or Godwyn, yes. And I think that once we get to that point in the storyline, it could have been basically any two Horcruxes of Marika that could have joined together. Or different shards of Marika, you know, people that have grace within them. And maybe that's why Ranni is able to accept us as her consort at all. So there you have it, folks. All of my most wildest theories explained. Do you think Miyazaki's making the story over and over again until we get it? Kind of. That's a little bit like self-centered. It's a little bit narcissistic to feel that way, but I do kind of think that. Or, well, I think he wants to do it in the grandest way possible, like, so he feels like, you know, he really did it. He really, and I feel like he did it this one, so I'm very proud of them. Such good work. Lore alerts, baby. Lore alerts in chat if you got them. I'll spam ya. Wee woo! Wee woo! Wee woo! Thank you, everybody, for coming through. This was a really intense 3 hours of spitballing and explaining all my stuff, and I'm really, really glad to be done. I've been sitting on a lot of this information for ages, and just thinking about it and mulling it over, so I'm glad I don't have to beat around the bush at all. There we go. Elden Ring doesn't even come close to Hysteria game. I hope July 8th. I really don't know when it will be ready, but alpha coming this year. Don't forget to check it out. Check out Hyacinth Artist over on Twitch and Saint Trina Lore on YouTube. Find me everywhere on my link tree, guys. Thank you. Thank you. And we're officially done with the video portion. If you want to see us chat for a little bit, I'm going to stick on for a couple minutes, but if you're all lored out, now's your chance to skedaddle. None of these pieces of lore today dispute and only enhance your theory of Miquella being the Formless Mother and time traveling to ensure her ascension to being the Formless Mother. Holy shit, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay. So let's return to this image. Let's pretend this is the Gloam-Eyed Queen and this is her fate. Marika's hijacking it, but she eventually gets the last laugh, cause she's in there. She's in everybody then. That's very interesting, because I always found it very weird, well, not weird, but just really cool that this thing looks like a godskin. This looks like a godskin goddessy to me, because there's these stitches, and I don't remember who first mentioned it on the Discord, but somebody on the Discord gave me that one. Just saying that theory. Yeah, and you've been saying that theory since just about launch, and everyone doubted you. Vibes. I've been saying this shit for a long time too, my friend. I won't beat around the bush. I've laid it all out. You gotta go do your stuff. Yeah, do your thing, honey. This reminds you of the Step Brothers scene where he rubs his balls on the drums. Oh my god, marking it forever. Gee, Gloam-Eyed Queen is a step ahead, says Preaker. You have one more thing you want to say before we end? Absolutely. Everybody, final thoughts. If you have final thoughts, now's your chance to ask me. You don't want to completely digress, you just missed a word. Did you say something about Marika, Miquella, gender something? Or did you mishear? Oh, I probably was just talking about the actual title, which I'll state again. The Omniscient Time-Traveling Miquella Theory, aka Everyone is Marika Theory. So Miquella and Marika represent like the two ends of a total timeline, in my mind that way. And Miquella is the omega to her alpha, so a lot of his/her symbolism will be similar to his/her Marika, maybe a genderless being before she got her first identity as Marika. No, you're totally good. This is the time, baby. You're good, Kicks. Since you read the description for the spirit jellyfish, you've had the name Aurelia and you're stuck in your head. Yeah, who? You only just realized your horse in Stardew Valley is called Aurelia. Okay, I finally said it right. It's Aurelia. Yeah, who is that? I don't know what to say about that one, but it does seem interesting that her name uses the French for gold. Or no, I'm slightly fucking up my etymology on that. Don't quote me on that one. Oh, McFrenzy said the same thing. Oh, maybe I'm not fucking up my etymology on that one. It's the name of the jellyfish you summon. Exactly. I think the jellyfish and Castle Morn are insanely important to all of this, but I didn't really find a way to fit Castle Morn into the overall discussion, so that's the only reason I cut it. But that's another reason why I think the Eastern lands are across the sea. Like Hunter x Hunter, more so than literally Yggdrasil, because Castle Morn seems incredibly important to me, and it has jellyfish there, and it's on the coast. It's all about the sea, baby. And there's those like sunken ships that we have no explanation on. What's up with that? You know? Also, the stream on YouTube works so well. There's like no drops or anything. Totally fine. Comes from Latin name Aurelius, which comes from Aurus, meaning golden. There we go. There we go. Very nice, Shalir. Yeah, my vague Latin knowledge through being not as fluent as I would like to be in French helped me there. You don't remember exactly the description, but it says something like jellyfish is the spirit of a young girl called Aurelia. Also, the quest in Stargazer Ruin proves jellyfish are spirits of people. Yup, and notably, she meets her sister there, and also notably, this location where those two jellyfish meet are right by these locations that we've been talking about quite a bit already. I don't remember where it is. I think it's a little bit before this spot. I think this is like the second half of the consecrated snowfields and she's from the first, but regardless, they're both from the snowfields. And speak of two sisters who are twins who are from a long time ago. Oh yeah, Roman lineage, yeah. And you, and then you can, what? And you can then fancy spin. Oh yeah. Stargazer Ruins are north of this. Yeah, they're like somewhere over here. Wow. What a day. I can't believe how long that took. 3 hours and 20 minutes. Woo! Elden Ring does not play, you guys. What is wrong with these people? That's so mean. Why would they make me do that? Yeah, oh, there aren't any skirts, you're right. There's only dress, gown things. You're absolutely right. There are great dresses, of course. Yeah, they do have a fun spinny emote. That's very important. The lore grind, yeah. Ugh. Trying to make your farm look nice? Hell yeah, do that. Alright, I'm gonna find us a raid target, y'all. Thank you so much for coming. Everybody over at YouTube, thank you for watching. If you're on the VOD, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please, pretty please. If you have any more questions, of course, if you want to tell me how wrong I am, hit me up. Sorceries, leggings, and sanguine noble legs are the closest. Ooh. Yeah, right, you're right. The, I do like the spinny emote with, the deathbed dress. You should try that. It looks nice. It's a shame you came here so late. First time here, only 5 minutes here, and already loving your ideas. Thank you so much. This will be both on my Twitch, and just today we started dual streaming to YouTube, so this VOD will be immediately up. It just takes like 10 minutes or so for it to process. Maybe like 30, I don't remember. But it comes up very fast over on YouTube, so let me link that for you guys really quick. Over on Twitch. And YouTube, if you guys want to catch me on Twitch, you don't have to, because I'll be doing it on here all the time, but here's that link for you too. That's me. Wishlist Hysteria on Steam. I wish it was up on Steam right now, but we will get it up there very soon. We want to have like a little bit more of stuff to show. You should raid Chest Rancid or Sylvan if you can. Yes. Absolutely. We're gonna find some homies. Give me 1 second. Yes, we've raided Celestia a lot, so let's do Moonbath. Moonbath is doing a cursed prisoner run in Elden Ring, and that's a new friend of ours, so new friends, we might as well give them a raid. Let's go, Moonbath. Spam them with the emotes when you get there. Spam them with the lore alert. Let them know what's up. Love you guys. YouTube, love you as well. You're all sweeties. Thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye now.